Hey, Purnell.
Hey, Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, Janine, just let us know when you're ready.
Okay, the meeting is live now.
Okay, Purnell, we're ready whenever you are.
All right, bear with me 1 second. I am getting my agenda here. All right. The Cuyahoga Community Development Committee meeting is now called to order. Janine, would you please call the roll?
On the roll, Mr. Jones,
Here.
Ms. Stevens,
Present.
Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Brady.
Here.
We have a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that council members Conwell and Miller are also in attendance.
Excellent. Ashley, did anyone sign in for public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one submitted any public comment.
All right. Can we have a motion to approve our minutes from our November 16th community development meeting?
So moved.
Second. Brady.
Moved and seconded. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Our minutes are approved. Well, we have one item on our agenda today, and there's someone who would like to speak to this matter. Ashley, after you read it into our record, please.
Okay. Resolution number 2020-0264, authorizing and exempting from requests for proposals and making an award on requisition number 3911 with various providers in the total amount not to exceed $2 million for financial counseling and mortgage assistance services to eligible homeowners adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic for the Mortgage Assistance Program in connection with the Community Development Block Grant Program for the period January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022.
All right, if someone would like to speak to this matter?
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development. We are requesting an exemption from the RFP process and approval of this mortgage assistance program, the funding for which was provided by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development through their allocation of CARES Act money. Our timeline for the use of this money extends through 2022. The purpose of the mortgage assistance program will be to provide a deferred loan to those eligible homeowners requiring assistance with their mortgage, as the moratorium on mortgages will end December 31st. We will provide this funding in the urban county communities. The other entitlements, Cleveland, East Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, Lakewood, Parma, and Euclid, all receive their own CDBG money and also receive their own CDBG, what we call CB money, which was from HUD, for the purpose of assisting with those persons who have been affected by COVID. The department sent out an informal RFP to those organizations that we know are HUD certified counseling agencies. The purpose of that is we would like the homeowners to be able to have financial counseling and assistance to ensure that they get the best possible rates that they can if the mortgage needs to be modified, and that we assist them appropriately. The deferment of the loan will stay as a soft second until such time as the property is either sold or transferred. So the first step in this process will be that the homeowner will go to one of 3 counseling agencies and provide them with the necessary information as to the delinquency and their current employment. These agencies do a lot of counseling. They're already counseling agencies for us with foreclosure prevention and other financial counseling services. The organizations are ESOP, Empowering and Strengthening Ohio's People, Community Housing Solutions, and CHN Housing Partners, representatives of which are with us today. So I'll open the floor for questions.
All right. We'll open up to the floor. Are there any questions from the committee?
I
No questions?
have
All right.
I have
Oh,
one.
go right ahead, Councilman.
Through the chair to Sarah, Director Parker, what role will each of these agencies perform or execute? Will they touch base today in committee?
We will give them, if it's all right with the chairman, Councilwoman, they will be given the opportunity to speak because they also have other programs that are complementary or will be complementary to the mortgage assistance program, but they will do the counseling. They will also determine if there is a financial need necessary to keep the homeowner in the home, and they will cut the check and the Department of Development will reimburse them for that expense.
Okay, second question, how was it determined the amounts that was awarded to each agency?
We tried to do a split. There's 500,000 to Community Housing Solutions and 500,000 to CHN Housing Partners and $1 million to ESOP, because ESOP is also working in conjunction with another nonprofit organization by the name of Breaking Chains. However, Breaking Chains does not have the ability to cut a check, if you will. So they are working with ESOP to do that, and Breaking Chains has a strong presence in the southeastern suburbs, Beechwood, Warrensville, Garfield, Maple Heights. So their amount is larger because of the agreement that they have with Breaking Chains.
Couple more questions. How does the county plan on getting this information out to the residents of Cuyahoga County?
The counseling agencies will do marketing. The county will do marketing. I've already been in touch with our director of communications. It will be on websites. And we also have funding that we can use to assist us in getting the word out to the community so that they are aware. We'll probably use some social media as well.
Last question, are there other, that you know of, other legitimate mortgage assistance programs available from the federal government and the state?
Currently, CEOGC receives state funding to provide mortgage assistance and other assistance. Unfortunately, that funding is part of the Treasury dollars, which ends 12/31. Hopefully it will be extended, but right now, we know those funds have to be used by December 31st. Have not talked to the other entitlements to determine whether or not they intend to provide mortgage assistance in their communities.
And the reason that I asked is because, you know, I was going on the website today looking up other mortgage assistance programs and just don't want anybody to fall prey to any scams. So I was just wondering if we could, when we put our information out there, there could also be some other resources listed that are legitimate, that we know that are legitimate.
Yeah, I will work with the communications director to make sure that we can identify CEOGC, which is currently doing mortgage assistance. I'm not aware, well, actually, Michael Billnitzer is here. He's the executive director of ESOP, and they currently have a mortgage assistance program through their organization.
Final question, when will our program roll out?
January 1. Moratorium ends December 31st. So we wanted to get your review and approval, hopefully, so that we can be ready to hit the ground running on January 1.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Sarah, is this exclusively for homeowners or for who have rent?
Now, this is, to the chair, this is exclusively for homeowners. We have
Okay.
data right now from the Federal Reserve Bank that indicates that 6% of the homeowners in Cuyahoga County are now 90 days plus behind in their mortgage. And we anticipate that once this moratorium ends, December 31st, that we will see an influx of folks requesting assistance. When COVID began in March, the county was at 1.7% at 90 days or more, and now we're at 6. So the need is there, and it's our intent to be able to get this funding out to help those folks. And the counseling agencies do a wonderful job in determining whether someone qualifies for a mortgage modification, and they've worked with the banks and other financial institutions so they know how to do that, and also to determine the amount of funding that may be needed for that to be successful.
And these dollars would be go everything from pay a full amount or just a partial gap amount. Is that strategy factored in as well?
We're looking at the ability and seeing also what the homeowner has in their possession financially to make them whole, so that whatever the financial institution is requesting, so that we can make them whole. We cannot, however, pay back taxes.
Okay. Any questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Miller?
Yes, thank you very much, and I appreciate the presentation. And my first question is whether there is a limit on how much assistance we can provide to any one homeowner, or is it as much as is needed?
Right now, Mr. Miller, we're looking at about $2,000 per household, but we did not, we're not holding pat to that. If the counseling agency determines with the bank or the financial institution that more funds are required, then the agencies will provide that, that funding. But certainly we're not going to $10,000 or $15,000 because we just cannot, we don't have the revenue to support that. But we will work with the counseling agencies who also have other programs that they can provide assistance with the homeowner that might allow the homeowner to contribute as well.
And Mr. Chairman, Ms. Jackson, do we have any information on to what extent mortgage lenders are already providing flexibility to people because of COVID, such as by suspending a number of payments and tacking them on to the back end?
I don't have that information because of the moratorium. However, I would defer to the counseling agencies when they have the opportunity to speak. They are on the front lines, and they may be have more information in regards to that because they're working with the financial institutions.
And Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Jackson, am I correct that typically the assistance that we provide would be part of a restructuring agreement that's entered into with a lender?
That would be correct.
And Mr. Chairman, Ms. Jackson, final question. Why did we use an informal proposal process and then include in the legislation an exemption requirement as opposed to using a more formal RFP process that would not require an exemption.
The need for the informal process is because I wanted to use counseling agencies that are HUD certified. And not all counseling agencies in Cuyahoga County are HUD certified. So we sent the informal RFP to those agencies that we know have the HUD certification. The request to this body is so that we get approval without having to do a two-step process through N4. And the two-step process would have been to ask for the exemption. Well, actually, to go through the RFP process is a little lengthy, but to ask for the exemption, wait to get that approved, and then come back to this body for approval of the program. So that was the reason for the inclusion into the legislation.
So to follow up, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Parks, why would we not simply send out an RFP that says that the HUD certification is a requirement and that only those who have the certification could be a bidder?
To the councilman, our RFP process currently takes about 90 to 120 days, a formal process to get through. With the moratorium ending 12/31, I made the decision that we should not do a formal process because we need to be able to assist these homeowners as soon as possible, being January 1.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, may I introduce the agency representatives that are here and give them an opportunity to say a couple of words?
You can. Yes, please.
Thank you. So I guess we'll go in alphabetical order. We have with us today Kevin Nowak and Kate Carden from CHN Housing Partners and Andy Nicoforis from Community Housing Solutions and Michael Bilnitzer from Empowering and Strengthening Ohio's People. So Kevin, let's start with you and Kate.
Thank you, everyone, for having us this morning. We appreciate your continued support and your continued perspective on supporting the residents of Cuyahoga County during this crisis. This is exactly the next step that we see as necessary to be able to address this crisis. As you all know, we started with rental assistance and have been processing that, and we've also moved on to utility assistance together. This next step in addressing the potential mortgage crisis that's coming, is exactly the right next step for homeowners. As we look going into the end of this year and into the beginning of 2021, we expect for the GSEs and lenders to be less flexible. And this intervention by the county allows for us to address that issue. CHN is, Kate is the director of our financial mobility programs. We've been doing this work since 2006. And we've done a lot of this work in partnership with Mr. Nicoforis, Mr. Bilnitzer, and their organizations, and look forward to working with them as well as all of you.
Thank you, Kevin. Andy?
Good morning and hi. Good morning and thank you for inviting us. And let me especially thank the county and council for considering the proposal for making these funds available to the kinds of clients that we work with. We are a countywide organization. We work with 2,500 families every year through a number of different programs. Roughly 500 of those are families that are struggling with either mortgage payments or real estate tax payments. And so this provides an opportunity to assist people to be current, be able to stay in their homes. Councilman Miller asked the question of the forbearance period. And there are lenders, particularly those that are FHA insured, that provide FHA insured mortgages that are required to provide a forbearance period for somewhere between 6 and 12 months. That should expire at the end of this year, the first quarter of next year. But roughly a third of our clients are, they have mortgages that are not FHA insured, and therefore the forbearance period, the forbearance option is not necessarily available. And so as being able to provide financial assistance through funds from this program and others are really essential. We look forward to working with ESOP and CHN Housing Partners and the county, as Kevin has said, and this is really a crucial pot of dollars that are going to be much needed beginning in 2021. So thank you again.
Thank you. Michael?
Good morning, Council. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to you as a council and to Sarah for being proactive to address this, what feels like impending crisis again. It's also good to be on this call and this conversation with my colleagues, Andy, Kate, and Kevin. We know how to do this. Just speaking for ESOP, which stands for Empowering and Strengthening Ohio's People specifically, we were the state's largest foreclosure prevention agency through the crisis, through the housing crisis, helping 55,000 families avoid foreclosure. So we are HUD certified. We have 6 individually HUD certified counselors, and I know our organization, and as a team with Sarah, Kevin, Kate, and Andy, we know how to address this. This is an impending crisis. There is not much relief coming, and I think one of the things we need to be mindful of is with a new administration, there's a gap between January 1 when that moratorium ends and a new administration coming in, and hopefully, looking through HUD to offer some additional relief options as we move forward into 2021. So I applaud Council and Sarah for being proactive to offer relief to homeowners who are at risk, because once the moratorium ends, we don't know what's going to happen. And as Andy said, right now, moratorium is really the only option. When that goes away, it could be another crisis. What's different this time, I'll just throw in one additional point. What's different this time, and a lesson learned from the first time around, is we now can offer financial counseling to these homeowners. That did not happen the first time through the housing crisis. We've learned. So hopefully the banks will step in and they have learned, but I applaud you for considering this and being proactive. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Michael, one question. Michael, financial counseling, is it negotiating on behalf of the homeowner with the financial institutions, or a little of both?
It's a little of both. That process was still there, Councilman, in the initial foreclosure crisis. We would negotiate on behalf of the homeowner to get the best workout, what we call workout, an option, whether it's forbearance, extension of terms, principal reduction. In this case, we are working with the homeowner, making it mandatory that we look at their budget. We have an action plan, that they stay in a certain number of sessions to get this assistance. We're always trying to provide financial capability, knowledge, skills, access to resources. That's a lesson learned from the foreclosure crisis.
One observation I made from the financial crisis, foreclosure crisis back then, was that when the TARP dollars were given to those financial institutions, it was my feeling that they should have been much more flexible in how they worked with the homeowners. Because they had been paid, because they had been given TARP dollars, I felt they could have allowed individuals to stay in their homes and come up with creative ways to allow people to stay in the home and make payment. That did not happen, as we know. There was a mass exodus, or foreclosing across the country. So my question to you is, has have these institutions received any monies themselves directly from the federal government, further leverage them to be creative in how people pay these dollars back, their mortgages back, continue to pay their mortgages.
So I just want to make sure, who is that addressed to me?
Go ahead, Michael.
At this point, not that I have seen, I would defer to my colleagues. The banks have not gotten any federal relief. I think those discussions will probably, or federal assistance, I think those discussions will begin to happen or should begin to happen. But I think we're going to learn a lot between January 1 and the end of January on what the federal government intends to do to help make homeowners whole around the stimulus. There's just a lot we don't know yet, which again goes to, I think, our collective applause to you for doing something before January, so homeowners have some relief.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, any other comments or anyone like to weigh in?
No, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Jones, I'd just like to make a comment. I guess if this legislation does pass and we have this mortgage assistance program, I'm in support of. I think that we keep a running list of those that we help and assist. Just in case the federal government does or Congress steps in at the first of the year and offers some financial assistance for others, so we can kind of leverage it in a way, and those that have been helped already won't get repeated help unless there's something dire. So just my suggestion.
Councilwoman, we do keep track because we also have to report certain information to HUD as to who we're assisting. We don't have to provide names, but we do have to provide demographic information. Well, all of the agencies will have names and addresses of those who have been assisted.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we believe that, and this question is more general for whoever would like to answer, do we believe what we've done today or in conjunction with anything else will actually address what we expect to happen on January 1? To fully address it, or
Councilman, I'm not sure if it will fully address it, but it will provide assistance to a number of low, moderate income homeowners in Cuyahoga County who, without this program, would have limited opportunities to be able to stay in their home. These funds are COVID related, so those folks who have been impacted due to job loss or hours reduced, having to stay home to care for children or ill family members, whatever the case may be, that they were impacted by COVID. That's what these funds are for. And we saw the need. We started with rent, and now we're with mortgages, because recognizing that those homeowners need assistance as well. Hopefully more will come, but right now we can at least begin to address the homeowners in Cuyahoga County as best we can who need mortgage assistance.
Sarah, what criteria will you use to determine if it has been COVID, if the failure to pay the mortgage is COVID related?
As the counseling agencies work with the homeowners, they will be determining, because of their financial situation, what led up to that financial situation. So we know that, in March, Folks got laid off, businesses closed, so they will be verifying that information to ensure that it was a COVID-related activity.
Will all three providers, and they can weigh in, will all three providers use the same criteria? And if so, if they'd like to elaborate as well on the criteria?
The COVID-related is a requirement of the funding, so they all have to verify that it was a COVID-related incident that caused their decrease in income.
Gotcha. Okay. Any further questions? If not, Sarah, do we need a first reading suspension?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Again, if there are no further questions, I'll make a motion that we move this resolution to the full council under first reading suspensions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, I'm not on the committee, but second.
Okay.
They're probably all on mute.
All right.
Second, Brady.
Yeah. Okay. Moved and second, and Janine, I will let you fight over whose second came in. But again, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. This resolution moves to the full council.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Sarah, and again, thank you to each and every one of our providers today. Your work is invaluable. This is a difficult time, and we all just have to pitch in and do what we can to make it through this together. Great. All right. Well, if nothing else holds our attention, let's see. Is there any miscellaneous business? If not, then our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.